Welcome to the Trigonometric equations lesson. This lesson builds off of what you know from the unit circle and applying that knowledge. First, before you even start with equations, you need to understand the different quadrants. So let's go over the quadrants and go over everything. So you have positive x, positive y in the first quadrant. You have negative x's, you have positive y's in your second quadrant. You have a negative x and a negative y in your third quadrant. And then in your fourth quadrant, you have a positive x and a negative y. So how can this be helpful? You don't necessarily have to write out the quadrants for each problem, but you want to be able to just kind of visualize where the quadrants would be positive in each scenario. But just knowing the quadrants won't get you very far, and you need to know the different families. So the different families are pi over 3, which consists of 1/2 root 3 over 2, pi over 4, which is always going to be root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2, and then you have pi over 6. This one is going to be root 3 over 2, 1/2. So those are always going to be your base for your different radians on the unit circle. Other ones to keep in mind would be the pi over 2, in which that would be 0, 1, as well as 3 pi over 2. That would be 0, negative 1. So just keep those in mind as well. Otherwise, let's get started. So, let's start with an easy one. Let's say sine of x is equal to 1/2. So, in this case, we know that we're looking for a value of x in a radian between 0 and 2 pi, and our y value is 1/2. So, which of our families has a y value of 1/2? That would be the pi over 6 family. So pi over 6 family has this. And it would also be, looking at our quadrants, we would also have to use the second quadrant, in which 5 pi over 6. And those would be your answer choices. Let's try a different example. Let's say cosine of x is equal to 1/2. The same goes for this question. Where does x become positive? In the first quadrant and in the fourth quadrant. Now let's check out the families. Which family would cosine be 1/2? In other words, where would 1/2 be in a family? That is, so 1/2 root 3 over 2, this would be the pi over 3 family. So you always would put pi over 3. And in this case, you would also put 5 pi over 3 because of the fact that quadrant 4 has a positive x. Those were relatively easy. Let's try a more difficult question. What about tangent of x is equal to the root 3? How would I do this question? Now, tangent has reciprocals, so it has sine over cosine x. In other words, y over x. However, which y over x would it be? So visualize how the reciprocal of 1/2 would cancel out the 2's, leaving you with root 3. So root 3, let's just say root 3 over 2, and say you had to divide by 1/2. To cancel these 2's, you would multiply by the reciprocal to cancel out the 2's, leaving you with root 3. So this was our y value. This was our x value. So this is also in the pi over 3 family. However, you need to see in which cases on the chart would indicate a positive. So positive makes a positive, and negative makes a positive as well, because the negatives cancel each other out. So it would be x is pi over 3, and it would be 4 pi over 3. A couple more to go. Cotangent of x is equal to root 3 over 3. So this is our other scenario. We have x over y. So how do we get this? Well, 1/2 over root 3 over 2. When we do that and we multiply by the reciprocal, we get 1 over root 3. 1 over root 3 we would have to rationalize because there can't be radicals on the denominator. So that would end us with root 3 over 3. So this was our x, this was our y. So this is also the pi over 3 family. I just really like the pi over 3 family for whatever reason. Now, in the same areas, so positive, negative. So those were ending up with a positive value. So again, x is equal to pi over 3 and 4 pi over 3. The next problem we have is secant of x is equal to root 2. So the secant of x to root 2, that means that 1 over x, something had to have equaled to root 2. So let's try root 2 over 2. So if we were to do all of this math, 2 over root 2, we have to rationalize this expression. So then that means we have 2 root 2 over 2. Those values cancel. We're left with root 2. And this was our x value. So that means we have a pi over 4 family. So that means root 2 over 2, root 2 over 2. However, we're in a quadrant. Let's see where it would be positive. It would definitely be positive here for the cosine. It would also be positive here for the cosine because you only need 1 over x to be positive. So the best values for this would be x is equal to pi over 4, and then you also need to have 7 pi over 4. So those are your two values. This next question is going to be cosine of x is equal to root 3 over 2. So where would we see root 3 over 2? So this would be the pi over 6 family. And so this would be pi over 6. and it would be 11 pi over 6. Because in the quadrants, positive x, positive x. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope it has helped.